our sort of routine has been, kind of different, and the energy and the dynamic at home and whatever. And I realized yesterday, it's Saturday, it's the day before the talk, and I didn't even really connect that it was Father's Day today. And then once I realized, oh, it's Father's Day today, I was like, oh, what am I going to talk about? Like, it just, like, there was, because I have these inspirations that are coming, and I had some Redefining Jesus stuff, and I have some stuff from Dark Matter, and I have some other stuff that's going on. But then I'm like, but it's Father's Day, and really we should, observe and honor on some level fathers and the fathering energy and the divine masculine that is present in each and every one of us. But nothing was kind of like really coming up to me. And so I asked my daughter, Milana, I'm like, okay, if you come tomorrow, which clearly she did not, but if you come tomorrow, what would you like to hear about? And this is what she offered. Even if you don't have a great relationship with your dad, or don't have a dad at all, it's okay. And I just thought that that was such a lovely sentiment, and just so aware of what different people have in their lives and what they don't, and the kind of relationships that people might have where others don't. And so I really appreciated her saying that. And as soon as she said it, it just kind of started to, percolate and land and do its thing, and there is more to come. But because I realized this morning, as the talk was kind of bringing itself together, that it was kind of on the more serious side, I wanted to start off with something funny. Well, I hope you find it funny. By Mark Twain. When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old men around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in 7 years. Perspective. Okay, so back to what Milana said. So I was thinking about the two dads in my life that I am most aware of, and that is my dad, and that is Glenn, Milana's dad. Two very different, expressions of fatherhood. And so it took me back to when I was growing up, and even my relationship with my dad now, who passed away 10 years ago. So even though he's not here in the physical realm, I definitely still have a relationship with him. And for those of you who haven't read about it in my book, it's partly in my book. But anyway, so I was thinking back to, what it was like when I was growing up as a kid. And this question came into my mind, where did I come from? And that took me to this book that my parents had that was from, I think, 1973, called Where Did I Come From? Does anybody know that book? One person. Okay, so this was a book that was written and illustrated cartoon style. It was for parents to be able to explain to kids about the facts of life in a no-nonsense kind of way. The birds and the bees, that kind of thing, right? And it sold like millions of copies, and it was very entertaining. And I don't remember exactly how old my sister and I were when my mom and dad, my dad I think was the one who brought this book home, was like, hey, look at this. So I don't remember how old I was, but like 1973, I would have been 5. So I'm pretty sure we didn't see it then, because my sister would have been 3 and she wouldn't have understood anything. But it wasn't too long after that, just maybe a couple of years or something, where parents sat us down with this cartoon book. So cartoons, right, great for kids. Naked people, we were used to our parents parading around naked, so that wasn't anything new. And then there was just this very humorous way of explaining, what happens back then between a man and a woman, how a baby comes to be, and all sorts of things that go with that. And so I was thinking about how, where did I come from, and how back when I was growing up, there was this sort of idea that parents made kids. That a man and a woman traditionally get together, do their thing, and then a baby, happens. And that also the kids should be seen and not heard as they're growing up. Okay, they kind of have their time and place, but when you're with adults, and the parents are the teachers of children. Okay, they know, they've been around longer, they have all the wisdom and all the experience kind of thing, so they impart their knowledge onto the kids. And the other thing was that men didn't show their emotions. Or if they did, as with my dad, it was anger. By crying, feeling empathetic, being compassionate, being loving, not so much. And so I started looking into what is masculine energy all about, because we all have a masculine side. This isn't just about, being a male or a man or a guy. We all have a masculine side to us, just like we all have a feminine side to us. And it's about the harmony and the polarity and the complementarity of those two energies that make us who we are and really sort of define whether we are living in harmony and in balance or whether one side is stronger and more domineering than the other one. And so I was looking on this website called Spiritual Energy Today, and there were a few points that she had on there. That masculine energy is about leadership and responsibility. And so this is talking about taking direction and moving forward and taking action, about structure. It's about strength and courage, which is about standing up for beliefs. Sula, you were talking about this earlier, about living your truth. And it's also about taking risks, which is what Sula was talking about as well, about like intentionally stepping out of your comfort zone so that you can express as the truth that you are. It's about vision and direction, which is about not just knowing your purpose, but actually setting goals and actually taking action to help make them happen and be realized. It's about compassion and understanding, building relationships on trust and respect. And then it's also about self-awareness and reflection, which really means you gotta get to know yourself. And you gotta keep doing it because, like the universe, we're changing every single moment. And so we don't get to a point where like, okay, I've learned it all, I'm good, I'm just gonna coast through for the rest of my life. Every single moment is a brand new moment for healing, for growth, for expansion, for connection, for clarity of vision, and really, really discovering who and what we are at our core. And so my talk title today is Redefining Fatherhood. Because I was thinking about what fatherhood meant when I was a kid growing up and what my relationship was like with my dad and what my relationship is now with my dad since I sort of hopped onto this spiritual journey and went through 7 years of consciousness studies. And then I think about the relationship that our daughter has with Glenn and how it's very, very different. And how with Glenn, the way that we the way that we raised Milana and the way that we sort of just, hung out with her adjacently as she traveled her journey, supporting her along the way, was very much that kids choose their parents. They're not simply made, and happen because of a biological or sort of, chemical reaction. That there is energy that is flowing around, that there are these lives, these souls, these beings, whatever you want to call them. And in order to experience life, in order to experience all the messiness and imperfection of who we can be, through this individual expression of God, that we choose, that we've all chosen our parents and our families so we could have the experiences that those parents and families would offer us. It's also about kids being encouraged to express themselves, encouraged to really sort of stand their ground and be the little bosses of themselves so that they can really grow up to be these strong, independent, confident beings who aren't afraid to take risks, to do something different, to fall down and fail and then be able to get up afterwards. It's about how kids are our greatest inspiration. I constantly say that Milana, our daughter, she is my greatest inspiration. She is my greatest teacher. From even when she was in the womb, the stuff that I was, learning about what's going on, what's happening there. But as soon as she came out, all the feelings, all of the things that our relationship are about, it's like she's a mirror, for not only who I am, but this incredible, amazing possibility of how I can be better. And this is because of who she is, right? And then that it's also okay and even necessary for men to show their emotions. And not just the anger and the willfulness and the confidence and the success and the bravado, but the tender side, the softer side, the beautiful, tender, loving side, the compassionate side of that masculine energy that we all have. And so going back to the quote that we had in meditation today, which is pulled right out of the show Dark Matter, it is the imperfections of life that amount to a different kind of perfection. So in New Thought, we can often get tripped up with this idea of we're the infinite expansive universe. We can do and be anything we set our minds to. You know, and I'm going to stand up here like almost every Sunday and Wednesday saying that, because I, for one, want to be reminded of that again and again and again and again, because there are plenty other reminders all the time that show me how limited I can be and how confined my life experience can be. And yet, if we only focus on the fact that we are infinite spirit, that we are boundless, limitless creativity, imagination, and love, then sometimes we can get disappointed and get really frustrated when what it is we believe ourselves to be doesn't seem to be happening or be experienced in the life that we're living, which is all based on our beliefs, right? Commitment is hard, right? Or commitment can be easy. Or commitment can be work and effort, which doesn't mean it's necessarily hard, or that hard is even horrible. Hard can be good. Hard can be worth it. Hard can be a great payoff, you know? So this is a perspective shift about how we are spiritual beings that are having a spiritual experience, and yet we are choosing to individualize through each and every one of us. So Sula, Megan, Glenn, our daughter Milana, all these people out in the world, spirit expressing in these incredible, amazing, unique, original ways that they can only do so through those beings. And those beings, each and every one of us, we get to decide, how are we going to live our lives as spirit expressing? Are we going to get caught up in the challenges, in the hardships, in the foibles, in the I don't know how, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it? Or are we going to transcend those things, again, back to what Sula was talking about earlier, are we going to transcend it, remind ourselves that we are spirit, that we are love, and that even as we experience all of these challenges and hardships and tough stuff and whatever, that it's worth it, because we get to experience, and we get to experience how we experience those challenges. And a lot of that, for me, I've seen in the relationship between Glenn and Milana, my husband and my daughter. And how she has this incredible relationship with her dad, which I did not. And it's not to say that my dad was a monster, that he was horrible. Like, there's some great stuff that I remember about my dad. But the closeness that I see Milana having with Glenn, nowhere near what I experienced with my dad. The playfulness and the fun that Milana's experienced with her dad, I didn't have that growing up with my dad. So I get to have it now, in my mind. Now that he's gone, and the conversations that we have, right? So I also have, there's a quote that actually Glenn sent me. The nature of impending fatherhood is that you are doing something that you're unqualified to do, and then you become qualified while doing it. So this isn't about, you know, hey, a baby is born, oh my God, I have no idea what to do, I'm just going to take it back. No, it's like, that's commitment. You're in, right? And you make it work. You figure things out. You make mistakes and you learn from them and you grow, you know, or you don't. But if you do, then not only is it amazing for the dad, but it's amazing for the kid. Because the kid gets to see their dad fall and fail and make mistakes, dust themselves off, pick themselves up, and keep on going. And what an amazing example that is, you know, for someone little who's growing, right? Commitment. There is a new organization that is going to be renting space from us on Tuesday evenings called Arc of Brotherhood. And I didn't really know very much about them until a few months ago, until I found out that one of our friends is actually a member. And then it turns out that they're going to be renting space from us. And they are all about celebrating and honoring and inspiring and activating men, specifically men. This is a men's group, and it's about men energy, about warriors, about kings, but about also the softer side, you know, the compassion, the understanding, and the tenderness that maybe men don't get and receive in mixed company or with other men that isn't specifically a group like that where people can be open and vulnerable and courageous in that way. And so I thought, I bet they have something on their website, you know, that would be relevant to Father's Day. And so because we are in this month of commitment, I was looking through their website and they have an incredible 14-point code. It's really, really, really cool to read. And one of the things there, code number 14, is about responsibility and being a responsible, and then it lists a whole bunch of things that men are, with father or dad being one of them. And so here's what it says under there. Be good to family members and stay in relationship with them if at all possible. You were not born accidentally into your family, and your children were not born accidentally to you. Meaning, above all, that your life has meaning. In many ways, family are your deepest mirrors and among the most significant lessons in your life. And so I saw this and thought, hey, that is so new thought, right? Because we are all reflections of each other. Our outer world is a reflection of whatever it is that we believe and we hold dear in our heart and in our mind. And so when we take a look at the relationships that we have with our children, when we take a look at the relationships that we have with our fathers, we get to go, okay, what's mine here to do? You know, if there's any kind of negativity, if there's any room for improvement, if there's any spaciousness to really lean into more loving kindness, more compassion, more grace, what's mine to do here? Because we're all in relationship together, right? Like no one is like in one, like no one's an island in a relationship. So what we feel ourselves is what we're gonna get back from the other person. When we can anchor ourselves in our authenticity, in our truth, then whoever it is that we're in relationship with, whether it is our fathers, our parents, whether it is our children, all of that becomes more authentic, all of that becomes more loving, more kind, and more compassionate. So there are no accidents, there is nothing random, because we are always choosing, always. So whether you believe or not that you choose your parents, on some level, if you're here, if you're part of a New Thought community, I think that there's a part of you that does. Because choice is one of the tenets of our New Thought philosophy. That every single moment of every single day we are choosing. And we're either choosing to be anchored in the truth of who we are, or we're choosing to be distracted. And we're doing it either intentionally, consciously, with awareness, or we're doing it just kind of going with the flow by rote. And a lot of time, we're going with the flow by rote. So what we want to do is we want to make sure, using our conscious mind, that the beliefs that we are entertaining about our fathers, about our parents, about our children, about relationships in general, are grounded and founded in love, in compassion, in trust, in respect, in learning about each other and ourselves, in being open to how relationships change. All of that and so much more. Because as we do, not only do we activate the love and the joy and the kindness and the beauty in ourselves, but then we do it for the person that we're in a relationship with, which means that we're doing it for our community, which means we're doing it for our world, right? So, to end with, as we're sort of redefining fatherhood from the time of, parents make babies, kids are to be seen, not heard, the parents are the teachers, and that men don't express their emotions, to embracing the masculine divine energy in each and every one of us, to celebrating, the beauty that there is in a relationship with a dad. And if you are a dad, to really acknowledge what that means for you. What that means for you with your children, whether they're here or not, or with our dads, whether they're here or not, or, you don't have a dad for whatever reason. There's still that energy within each and every one of us that we get to parent, right? Because ultimately, we're kind of parenting ourselves all the time. And so we get to choose, are we going to parent ourselves with love and respect and kindness and trust? And are we going to encourage ourselves to find our vision and act on our purpose and live life intentionally? Are we going to take action on those dreams and passions that we want? All of that is up to us. Every single moment. And so I just wrote something as I was finishing up this morning. There are no accidents. There is nothing random. We We all have a say in how we are parented and how we parent. Let us appreciate our fathers that they did their best with where they were on their journey, and let us be grateful for how they continue to empower and inspire us as we move forward on ours. Above all, let us commit to consciously, actively embracing the masculine traits of leadership and responsibility, strength and courage, vision and direction, compassion and understanding, and self-awareness and reflection, so that we may create life more intentionally and live life more purposefully every moment of every day, for our children, ourselves, and our world. Thank you, and so it is.